Welcome to this session, and I must confess that I've been around on the web for almost a decade now, but this is the first time I'm actually doing a completely live webinar. So in that sense, it's a new experience for me as well. And what are we talking about here? So we're talking about SlideShare. And specifically within SlideShare, we are talking about a lead generation program that we launched about 3 years back, and it has been very successful. And so the intent here is to introduce LeadShare to an Indian audience, and that's what we are going to be talking about. A little bit about the flow behind the presentation. So overall, what I have here, I think it should take about 35 to 40 minutes. I'll start off with a little bit of a background about SlideShare. And, my intent here is to kind of make people understand how SlideShare works as a platform. Because if you are wanting to use SlideShare in your business requirements, I think it's important to understand the DNA of the community that we have built and what role it plays. So that's about SlideShare. Moving on from there, I'll talk a little bit about the SlideShare premium service that we offer. And the LeadShare thing, the lead collection program, is actually one of the features which is available under SlideShare Premium. So that'll be the second part of the presentation. And finally, moving on to the last section, and I think this is probably where the best takeaways from this session are likely to be, is that if you wanted to run a lead generation program yourself, what are the 10 tips that you could go and start using them straight away? So that's the flow of the presentation. So in case you haven't encountered SlideShare before, if we were to describe SlideShare in a sentence, this is what we would say. SlideShare is the world's largest community for sharing presentations on the web. And a little bit of trivia here, and interesting from an Indian standpoint, is that SlideShare, the idea behind SlideShare was born in Delhi in 2006. And SlideShare has 3 founders. I'm one of them, and there are 2 other founders who are based out of the US. But the idea itself germinated in Delhi, and that's where SlideShare was launched. So the way it happened was in 2006, later part of 2006, which is October 2006, we launched. The launch post was on TechCrunch, and immediately we could feel that we have struck a chord somewhere, because lots and lots of people started using the platform. If you 2013, we are ranked amongst the top 150 sites on the internet. And so it's been a great and eventual 6 to 7 year journey for us. And so let me kind of go back. So when we say that SlideShare is amongst the 150 top sites, then one of the questions that you would like to ask is, who are the users of SlideShare? Where does SlideShare get its content and its community from? And I think there are 4 large buckets if you were to categorize the usage of SlideShare. The first bucket is technology, and technology people are always the early adopters of a platform. And the second large bucket is education, and SlideShare is very popular in this segment. The third bucket, which is by far the largest of all the segments, is the business segment. And businesses characteristically across the web, they are slightly late in terms of adopting a platform. This is true for SlideShare, and it is true for other platforms as well. And the fourth bucket that I would like to pick out is essentially the non-profits and the government usage of SlideShare. So within these 4 buckets, this comprises almost 65 to 70% of our content as well as our community. And So what is the rest 30%? The rest 30% is what we call the long tail of the internet, which is, lone sundry users using the platform for whatever suits them best. So you have people sharing book reviews, people sharing photographs, paintings, there are lots of humorous slideshows. So these are individual users largely. And this can also be described as more or less the consumer part of SlideShare. So if the 4 buckets that I described previously was the professional bucket, which is about 70%, and it kind of marks the basic characteristic of the platform. The 30% kind of it's in minority, but it has its own role to play in the community itself. In SlideShare, we've always been very oriented towards integrating into different parts of the web ecosystem, and we have applications on Facebook. We have an application on Google Hangouts. We have API partnerships with Twitter, with WordPress, and we had an application on LinkedIn, and we've had a partnership with them. And the LinkedIn partnership kind of, in a way, paved the future of the company, because last year in 2012, SlideShare was acquired by LinkedIn. So in that sense, we are now a fully owned company under LinkedIn, and I'm a LinkedIn employee. What the acquisition did to SlideShare was that, or let me put it this way, that what was the rationale behind the acquisition of SlideShare by LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is a much larger network than we are. They have about 200 million users, and SlideShare community is smaller. We are about 25 to 30 million user accounts. But interestingly enough, the best of our community is already they are already LinkedIn users. So our community, in that sense, is a subset of the LinkedIn user base. And we had an application on their application platform, so we knew the organization. There was already, back and forth going between the two companies. And last year, when LinkedIn asked us this question about whether we would be interested in getting acquired, we didn't have to think very hard about it. We thought a lot about the organizational aspects of the integration, about legal, HR and accounts and many of those issues. But at the product level itself, I think the fit was there for everyone to see, and it wasn't a very hard decision for us to make. So much so that, how is SlideShare similar or different from LinkedIn? So the common things are that, both of the platforms are oriented towards professionals. And that is the underlying rationale behind the acquisition. Interestingly enough, we are complementary in terms of usage. So LinkedIn is a professional networking platform, and we are a platform for sharing of professional content. And you could argue that the sharing of the content is complementary to the network which is going to share it. But our strengths are aligned somewhat differently. What we do best is professional content. And if you have professional content and if you want to use that content for your business purposes, SlideShare is a great platform for you. And my presentation today is going to talk in depth about that. So to summarize the LinkedIn partnership, I think both communities are oriented towards professionals, but they are complementary and they have different strengths. Which kind of brings me to the second part of my presentation, and I think it's important to step back for a moment and try to understand what is it that makes SlideShare popular, or what is it that makes it big? Why are we even discussing SlideShare? Why are we in a stage where we are talking about SlideShare in 2013? And I think that the most significant thing that we have been able to create with SlideShare is that we have been able to evolve almost a new language for the conduct of business. And this language is a visual language. Let me explain what I mean by that statement. So, visual content is driving the web. If you look at the success of platforms like Pinterest, Instagram, also look at the success of Facebook. A huge part of the engagement that these platforms have are essentially through visual content. It could be photographs, it could be videos. So visual content is in the driver's seat as far as engagement on the internet goes. And this is a very deep characteristic of the internet. It goes beyond SlideShare or LinkedIn. That visual content drives the web today. And I would argue that for SlideShare, very similar to the reason why platforms like Pinterest and Instagram are popular is because they have been able to provide a visual layer for their users to interact with the platform. Our mission, and the way we define it, is that it is to connect people through content and content through people. So there is a lot of content that SlideShare has, and the content is being shared by the community. But our mission is not just for the content to spread, but to help people connect with one another using that content. And this content is essentially visual in nature. And if you are a user of the platform, you will notice a few kinds of presentations which are very popular. So there is this visual resume that you will find time and again on SlideShare. So it's almost like the kind of resume that people have on LinkedIn, but it's a presentation in a very stunningly visual format. So that's very popular. Our best content are essentially what we would describe as visual essays. It's almost like storytelling with photographs and text. Using a combination of text and photos to deliver a story on the web. That is the way I would describe the usage. And what SlideShare has evolved into circa 2013 is that it's kind of become like a platform for the self-expression of professionals using this visual language. And we think that this is a USP that SlideShare has. And this is something that other platforms have either not attempted, or they might have attempted, they are not able to succeed here. But this is what sets SlideShare apart from other platforms, is that it is for professionals, but it provides a visual language to professionals to express themselves. And the best content on SlideShare that you will see essentially, is oriented around this characteristic of the platform. So I hope I've been able to get this point across. And during the Q&A, I'm happy to take any questions if there are any about this section. So I'd like to speak a little bit about our premium program and how that will lead up to LeadShare. So this is an infographic that was created about a year back, and it's possible that if you are a user of SlideShare, you would have encountered this infographic somewhere, because it's been very popular and it has been embedded at lots of places. And what it talks about is the fact that SlideShare is a platform for content marketing. And I think this is true, because if you were to sum up the business use case for SlideShare, then we are essentially a content marketing platform. We allow people to upload different kinds of content. This could be presentations, this could be documents, this could be PDFs. We also support professional videos. So you could have different kinds of professional content. And we either have or are in the process of building additional capabilities or tools that you could use with this content to either market yourself or market your business or use it for business purposes. So we define ourselves as a content marketing platform. And the most or the best professional usage of SlideShare is kind of oriented towards this use case. And I'll talk about this a little later in my presentation as well, but this could be different kinds of organizations, but they are using the platform essentially as a content marketing platform. And based on this, we launched the SlideShare Premium offering in 2010. And the premium offering is a self-service, is in the self-service model. So you can just sign up yourself. You don't need to talk to anyone. Just use your credit card and you get going right from day one. And essentially, it is kind of a means of giving people self-serving capabilities for using SlideShare as a content marketing platform. And you are offered different features. So you could remove ads from your content. You could decorate your channels. You could upload professional videos. You can conduct professional meetings. And the feature that we are going to talk about in detail today is LeadShare, which is our lead generation program. So let me kind of stop for a second and talk about LeadShare. So LeadShare was launched, I think, 2010, and actually we filed a patent for it. And people would have used lead generation methodologies on the web in different ways. But this was the first time where a company was, creating the technology for having lead generation form inside a presentation or a document or a video. So when a user is, when a viewer is reading through a presentation, the user gets stopped after a certain number of slides, and he or she is asked, questions in a typical lead generation way. So that is the idea behind the whole technology. So if you have a SlideShare Pro account, this is what the Pro dashboard, the control center for your Pro services looks like. And the one that I've highlighted second from the left is the lead program. So it says capture leads. And from here you could get inside, and I'll just walk very briefly through the interfaces. These are very simple, easy to use interfaces. You could sign up for Pro and start using LeadShare in the next 5 minutes without talking to anyone, assuming you have some content on SlideShare. So it's a completely self-service program. This is the dashboard where your different lead campaigns are displayed. This is the dashboard where you can view all the leads that have come into you, and you can also download them in Excel and do any kind of a statistical analysis with it if you want. This is what it looks like if you want to set up a lead campaign. So it's actually a very simple form. It asks you 4 or 5 simple questions, and it also shows the live preview of what the form will look like. And you can select or deselect different options. And there is a advanced option there, and if you happen to use the advanced feature, then it gives you deeper and more advanced features that you can use in LeadShare. But overall, the attempt that we have made is to have a system that people can get started immediately without having to talk to anyone. So that was about the LeadShare, just walking through the UI. A little bit about the kind of people who are using LeadShare, and this is mostly with regard to global usage of SlideShare. I must confess that we probably don't have a very strong usage of SlideShare in India at this point in time, and that's largely because India is where we have had our our development center. That's where SlideShare is built. We did not have a sales and marketing team in India, but that is changing and changing very fast because now we are part of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has a huge sales and marketing team in India. And so all SlideShare products and SlideShare advertising and SlideShare features is in a phased manner passing over to LinkedIn. And we are very excited that it'll probably take a few months more, but we are going to have strong selling effort for SlideShare and its business-oriented features in India in the coming days. So, if going back to who uses SlideShare Pro, or who's using SlideShare for the lead collection. So, if you see that essentially it's a combination of businesses and individuals. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but my sense is that businesses account for about 60 to 65% of premium usage, and the rest are individuals. And within the businesses, you could be a large enterprise, or you could be a medium scale company, or you could be a startup. All classes of businesses are using SlideShare. So I'd like to pick out 3 or 4 specific examples. So Salesforce is one of our early adopters, and they have been using the platform. And one of the great things about their usage of SlideShare is that they use all the formats that we offer. So while SlideShare is best known for presentation, but we also support the document formats, PDFs, we support videos, and I think that Salesforce is an example of a company which is using all formats in a very creative way. So that's something worth pointing about the Salesforce usage. The second example worth mentioning is IBM, and IBM actually has done something which is extremely interesting and very creative. What they did was that they realized that so IBM had a parent account on SlideShare, but they also realized that some of the best content producers on SlideShare included their top employees, or experts at different aspects of the IBM business. So they came to us and they said, okay, is it possible to create some kind of an expert network for us? And we thought about it and went back to our product engineering teams, and we built this expert network for IBM, and this is the custom build, so it involves some custom work for them. But now, as you can see, there are a bunch of industry thought leaders who are IBM employees. They're all using SlideShare individually, but those accounts are linked to the IBM usage. And if you go to the IBM channel on SlideShare, you'll see all of them aggregated there. So it's a very innovative way in which a large global organization is not only showcasing their own usage, but also leveraging the content being produced by the experts amongst their employees. Another example worth pointing out is Cisco. And what Cisco has done is that they have different Cisco companies across the world, across different geographies, and each of them have individual accounts on SlideShare as well. And those accounts are linked to the parent Cisco account. And so again, you see content from different parts of the Cisco ecosystem being interlinked on SlideShare. Marketo is another organization that I feel has done tremendously well in their usage of SlideShare. They are a very innovative company, and they are we would regard them as thought leaders in the social media space, and they use SlideShare extensively as well. And in fact, they had a great presentation about using LeadShare that they uploaded a few weeks back, and actually some of my points I have picked up from their presentation, so I should credit them with where it's due. So that's about the some good use cases of SlideShare, and this brings me to the core of my presentation, which is about that if you as a business wanted to use SlideShare for generating leads using our LeadShare program, what are the tips and tricks that can help you get started and help you get the maximum ROI out of LeadShare? So I have 10 points here in no specific order. And so the first thing that is worth pointing out is that if you are a thought leader or an expert, or you have certain kinds of specialized knowledge in your area, then you have a great use case for using SlideShare. And actually, let me kind of fall back a little bit from SlideShare and talk about how search engines work. Is because search engines essentially work on the same principle. When a user goes to Google and types a particular keyword, what the search engine is trying to do is that it has content on that particular keyword, and it tries to correlate the content with the credibility of the publisher. Right, and where there is a good match between the content and the publisher credibility, it's likely that that particular search result is going to show up high in the search rank. So inherently, what the search engine is telling you is that if you are a thought leader or you are an expert in an area and you have content, we'll rank you high on Google. And I think the same logic holds true for SlideShare. Is that if you want to collect leads on SlideShare, and either you are yourself a thought leader or you have thought leaders within your organization, or maybe you could twist it around. You could interview some thought leaders if you don't have the thought leadership yourself. A lot of people might say that we are not the thought leader in our respective area, but you could do things like, for example, top 10 thought leaders in that particular space. So let's say you are a startup in the space of virtualization. You do a top 10 use cases of virtualization in the world, or you could interview top 10 people. But somehow, if you could create content which taps into the thought leadership or the expertise in that area, that kind of content could prove very valuable in collecting leads. Because that content becomes an inherent magnet, whether on SlideShare or on Google, for attracting interested people to come and view it. So that's one of the straight tips that we can give is that try to create content from thought leaders or something to do with the expertise in that area, and that content is likely to be a magnet for generating business leads. The second point is something that you might have, if you are a SlideShare user, you would recognize this instantly, is that the best people or the best content producers have this, they have this ability to create a really catchy headline or an opening slide. And your opening slide and your title has a disproportionate influence on how much views it gets. And this is true actually, again, this is not just a SlideShare phenomenon, this is true for the internet in general. Things which are catchy, things which are provocative, things which they tend to get initial usage. And we have noticed this on SlideShare time and again, is that for a content to be successful and a content to generate good leads out of the LeadShare program, having a catchy title and having a catchy opening slide plays a very important role. Okay. The third point is about is optimizing your content for search engine optimization. That we allow uploaders to give a nice title to their uploaded deck. You could assign it a description, you could give it tags, you can categorize it, and that metadata essentially has two roles. So A, it kind of to somebody who is viewing the content, that information is valuable because it is informing the user. But that is only part of the role that this metadata plays. The bigger role that this metadata plays is that it is used as an input into our recommendation system. So when SlideShare or any application for that matter recommend some content or some people to view, our algorithms essentially rank content higher which has good metadata. So your ability to give the content good titles, good tags, etc. can have huge implications in terms of its SEO. And this is, mind you, SEO not just on SlideShare but outside SlideShare as well. So I would say it's both internal as well as external SEO. Internal SEO means when somebody is searching on SlideShare using our search engine. And external SEO is when somebody is searching on Google for any topic, and from Google they come to SlideShare. So for both use cases, having rich metadata and optimizing your content using that metadata can be a very valuable advice. The fourth, hi Kapil, are you there? I see some.
Yes, I'm here and I'm listening very keenly.
Okay. So moving on to the next point, and I talked about this in the early part of my presentation about SlideShare being a visual language. So this point just flows from that characteristic, is that the content that performs best on SlideShare is visual content. So if you can make your content visual, if you can use rich graphics, if you can use graphics and text in combination to convey what you're trying to say, that content gets a lot of readership, it gets lots of views, and because of its readership and its views, that content will also give you more leads. So just trying to make your content as visually possible is a good ploy. Sometimes what we recommend is that, and this is a problem which some organizations may have is, and we heard this as feedback, is that people say, I don't have good content, so how do I get started? Not everyone has good content, which is true, which is an honest statement that not everyone has access or has good content. So what we recommend is that you can progress along with the platform. So maybe you don't need to start initially with the best content. You could start out with content which is readily available. It could be a product literature or a deck that you've created which is for public consumption, and put it on SlideShare, start using it, see what kind of result it is giving you, and slowly start moving towards better content. And this better content could be in-house, you could build it yourself, you could create it yourself, or if you have a small marketing budget, you can get it designed by a designer. And it is true that especially design content tends to have much better ROI, but since there is an associated cost to it, we'd recommend that you first use the SlideShare platform with whatever content you have initially before you invest in getting special content made. Okay, one sec. I just Okay. The next point is something that we again, this is something you would have encountered about SlideShare. The SlideShare is a viral platform, and we have worked very hard to integrate it deeply with different social media channels. So, and you should try to leverage it best. You can upload a content to SlideShare, and from SlideShare you can push it to Facebook, you can push it to Twitter, you can push it to LinkedIn, you can push it on Google+, you can embed it across different websites, you could take it to your company blog. So in a way, our attempt has been to provide a one-stop destination from where you can spread your content to different parts of the web ecosystem. And how it helps in lead generation is that the more your content spreads across different platforms, the more views it will get, and subsequently it will result into better leads and more leads for you. So after you upload to SlideShare, make sure to share it with your networks on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And because the attempt is that you have to somehow make the content viral, and in the initial stages you might need to work a little harder, you might need to give it a certain push. We've also seen cases where people upload content to SlideShare, good content, design content, and they sometimes run Google AdWords for pointing towards the SlideShare content, or sometimes people's content gets featured on the home page, and I'll talk about it later. And then we've seen cases where people are running our homepage links on their AdWords campaign. So essentially, once you have good content, you're trying to make that content spread as much as possible. And I talked about the SlideShare homepage. It is true that the content that gets on the homepage gets an initial push. And so if you can create content that catches the eyes of our editorial team, we'll put you on our homepage. We don't charge you for it. This is actually unlike many other social platforms where the homepage is kind of reserved as a big revenue opportunity. But we actually just put our best content on our homepage, and we feel that the biggest value that SlideShare can offer to the community is good content. So if your content is well designed, it is good, then and it is doing well, chances are that our editors will just pick it up and themselves put it on the homepage. And if it goes there, then it remains there for anything between sometimes it is a day, sometimes it is lesser than a day, but you get a lot of views from there, and that can give you just the initial push you need to essentially make your content go viral. So the advice here is that try to create good content so that it catches the eyes of our editorial team and we get to feature it on our homepage. This brings me to my next point, and this is about doing A/B testing. We've heard this feedback from a lot of people where they say that what is the specific kind of a form that we should create, where should we place it, because we give out a lot of options in our different levels of SlideShare usage. Now the answer to the question is that there is no correct way of doing it, or there is no best way of doing it. Your content, every piece of content is different. It is designed using different ways. It has different calls in action, and we suggest that you should just do some little bit of A/B testing yourself to figure out how that content can be used for A/B testing. So we give an also by default the lead generation form shows up at the end of the presentation, but you also have the option of moving it after the 10th slide, so moving it further. And what often happens is that if you move it to the 10th slide, sometimes you start getting leads of lower quality. So essentially there is a trade-off. The trade-off is between how aggressive you want to be in terms of collecting leads and the quality of the leads that you can collect. Okay, it also depends on the nature of the content. So it is possible that content which is far more generic. So let's say your content is about generic social media, and there is so much of social media related content on the web and on SlideShare. So it is possible that that kind of content will attract lots of leads, but a higher percentage of those leads would actually be useful to you because that content is generically useful to everyone. So everybody who is viewing that content is not necessarily a likely customer for your service. So there are these smaller nuances that you will figure out with a little bit of trial and error. And this is, I would say, our experience shows that this is just like Google AdWords and AdSense. That you need to do some testing, you need to figure out what is working for you, and within a few weeks you'll realize what are the settings that are working best for you. So we would strongly recommend some A/B testing that you could do with the platform. The next point is about our analytics, and in our Pro services, we offer the Pro Analytics, and the analytics gives you different slices of data. It tells you in detail where you are getting your views from, which geography is it, what is the source, what is the URL, from where you are getting traffic, and it is data that you can use to further optimize and improve the performance of your lead generation campaign. So this is recommended as well. So we are now a part of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn allows you to embed a SlideShare deck on your public profile, on your LinkedIn public profile. And in fact, there was an update from LinkedIn just yesterday where they have rolled it out to everyone. So you can go to your LinkedIn public profile and add URLs, including SlideShare URLs. And as you can see in the screenshot, that's how the decks are displayed. And if you click one of the thumbnails, the presentation shows up there. So this can be another useful way of collecting leads on LinkedIn. And this is the last slide that I have. And this is about the last slide in your presentation. So when you upload a presentation or a deck to SlideShare, chances are that you already are putting your contact information on the last slide of your deck. And what we recommend is that you could just do a little bit of optimization of the call to action on that last slide. You can make it visually appealing. You can leave behind your email ID or your Twitter link, or sometimes people leave behind their name, their email ID, the phone number. And this is, you don't need a SlideShare Pro account to do this. You could just do it with any content. And this is very useful. You'll see this being used a lot on SlideShare. And the specific recommendation we are making is that you can just optimize the last slide a little bit to make it more appealing from a CTS standpoint. And you don't need a Pro account for this. You could just do it by making the changes and uploading your file again. But this tends to have a great impact on the leads you collect. Chances are that a lot of people would contact you or they'll get in touch with you just by looking at this particular slide without even using LeadShare. So this is a generic recommendation that we have. So that brings me to the end of this presentation, and I'm happy to take questions and answer any queries you might have.
Thanks, Amit, for a great product view of SlideShare. And personally, I'm very delighted to use SlideShare for our business since we generate a reasonably good number of slides using the Pro account. So before other people actually, so I invite everyone just write down your question in the chat section. I've already received a couple of questions, one from Vidya and one for Archana. And rest of you can just put down your question. And before I take up all the questions, I have some questions from my side.
Sure.
Which people keep asking me most of the time. So one is this that, first of all, I mean, with regards to the product as a SlideShare, and if I particularly look at various content discovery mechanisms, including search on SlideShare to search on Google to internal notification system that you have designed to what the people discovering on social media, what are the predominant content discovery ways on SlideShare, which we as a business need to focus on while optimizing the content accordingly. So if you could share some light on that, that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. So I already talked about it, but let me crystallize my response there. So I would say as a business, you can focus on two things. One is, the point about optimizing your content is metadata. So this is that give it a good title, give it nice description, give it tags, give it put it in the right category, and this metadata is used by SlideShare's internal algorithms, and it is used in our search engine. It is used in our own recommender system, and we have recently started, sending emails with recommendations about SlideShare content. This is a recent development. We started doing this about 2 months back, and but that metadata plays an important role in each of these. The metadata also is picked up by Google. So if somebody is searching for Google on Google for a particular topic, this metadata plays a role. So that's point number one. So use rich metadata. The second point, as I said, is that if you can create good content, then and if that content can be picked up by our editorial team, it gives you just that extra edge. While our editorial team as well looks at certain variables, we see the quality of the content, but we also see things like, content is trending on which network, which is getting popular, which topic, is it a hot topic, is it something which is in the news. So any content which our editorial team kind of, puts on our homepage, it gets a slight advantage over others. And that advantage doesn't stay for long, but that advantage is just about enough to, kind of give you the initial push to make your content spread across the world. You could target these two.
So just to summarize what I've heard, so the premium one is which is search, and to search we need to apply all the SEO principles, and that's and the second, as you said, is like if you really put up the quality content, the editorial team might pick up. Is there any algorithmic way also you assess the thought leadership of a content, or is which we need to work on to optimize the content, or like the author rank principle of search engines, or is the thought leadership is purely driven editorially in terms of the content being ranked up on top because of that?
Okay, that's a good question. The judgment about the quality of the content is editorial, and it is completely human intervened. But even the editorial team is looking at some dashboards and seeing what content is performing well. So for example, we have our internal dashboard where we are seeing, okay, so what is the SlideShare content which is getting shared most on Facebook? Or what is the content which is getting retweeted on Twitter the most? So we look at all the content, and from within that we try to see, okay, is this something which is worthy of putting on our homepage? So we are looking algorithmically at at some of these inputs, but just pure, if you talk about the quality of the content, that is a completely human intervened and a human controlled process. We don't have any algorithms for that as of now.
Got it. And just to move taking this conversation forward now regarding search, usually when people are putting up the slides on SlideShare, also they rely on Google keyword suggestion tool to look at various keywords they need to put up in the title. Is there some specific tools for SlideShare, or you suggest some other way in which people can get the sort of a search volume particularly related to the SlideShare content, or you suggest that people should stick with the keyword suggestion tool while finalizing their title and the meta tag?
So I think the Google keyword suggestion tool is excellent. It is free. It has high credibility, so just stick to that. I don't. I wouldn't recommend any other tool. I think that works very well. We use it ourselves sometimes, and it gives us excellent results.
Got it. And now moving on to the particularly the lead share side of the presentation that you shared. Is it like one of the thing is that if I'm new to SlideShare and I'm just starting with it as of now, and I'm just putting up some of the presentations. So right now, even if I embed my form, the visibility of that form will be limited to the views that my slides will get. Is there a way I can get my form displayed on other slides, or is there a way I can get better reach if I haven't done the work of getting the organic reach first, or the process to follow is first build a good presentation, make sure the good number of views happening on the daily basis, and then expect the number of reach accordingly?
Yeah, a good question. At present, we don't have a system where you can instantly get access to more inventory or showcase it more. We had in, just as a note, we had in 2009-10, in the initial stages, we had an experimental feature which did partly what you are suggesting. But it was kind of an internal advertising system. It was like an internal AdWords on SlideShare. But for some reason, it didn't work out very well, and we discontinued that. So at this point in time, I think you will have to depend on the inherent native quality of the content to use that. What also people do, which since we see a lot of trends, is that sometimes people have incoming traffic on their blogs or their company website. So what you can do is that you can take the SlideShare embed with the lead generation form, and you can embed it on your website. In some stray cases, we've also seen people run AdWords campaigns with SlideShare links. So that is also a possibility if you have the budgets for it and you think that is the right use of your marketing resources. But it's not very common. These are stray cases that we've seen.
Okay, got it. So, I mean, there are quite a few questions from other people as well, so I'll just pick up one by one.
Sure.
The first one was from Abhijit. He's saying, what is the average lead conversion rate on SlideShare? I would suggest that if you could throw some light on it, some study being done on the CPL cost through SlideShare, or like there is some any number that can give some encouragement, that will be good.
I'll have to check up with my team. I don't readily remember numbers. However, I think last year we had done some back of the envelope calculation for a particular use case where content that was getting views, and if it had a lead generation form turned on, we noticed almost anything between 2 to 3% of the views converting into leads. But yeah, those leads, not all of them would have been business worthy. Some of those leads would have to be scrubbed and kind of checked. But yeah, if your content is performing well, then I would say on the higher side, maybe about 2 to 3% of that could give you leads.
Got it. Puneet is asking, does a visibility of content improves with a pro account?
No, not as yet. Not as yet. This is we've toyed with that idea, but at this point in time, there is no extra content push per se for pro accounts. We have some sections of the website where pro users are showcased. So if somebody is going to those links, then maybe the pro users are being called out separately, but the content itself does not get a special treatment.
Got it. That's pretty obvious also. Dolly Vaseem, she's asking, please share case studies of India SlideShare entries that have crossed over 1 lakh views and also the one which were downloaded most. So if there are some that you can remember which we can take a look at.
For lead collection, no, I am sorry. I actually looked up my team today and I was trying to isolate successful case studies of Indian usage of SlideShare of LeadShare, but I don't have specific case studies. If you're talking just about content getting views, then there are, content gets lots of views. I mean, one case that comes to my mind, which was not a business use case, but I think it can give you an idea, is that Mahesh Murthy recently shared a deck on SlideShare, which was about how he traveled across so many countries on a very cheap budget. And he put it on SlideShare, and I think in a week he crossed 1 lakh views, and he was like tweeting on Twitter and Facebook, and he was mighty surprised. But you can imagine that if, and I know that because I watched that presentation, it did not have a lead form. But if he were running a lead form there, then chances are that he would have collected lots and lots of leads. So which goes back to the main theme of my presentation today, is that SlideShare is a content platform, and the content itself is the biggest indicator of the business value of that content, including collecting leads. So if you can create content which is interesting, or which is appealing to people, that is likely to be a very good magnet for people to fill out these forms.
Got it. So actually it's 4 o'clock. We have 5-6 more questions. If it's okay with you, then we can continue.
I think we can take about 5-6 minutes more and try to wrap it up. I'll love to answer as many as we can.
Sure. So Prasanna, you have asked the question, apart from SEO optimization, is there a way we can promote content on SlideShare? I think it's already been answered by when he mentioned about all the 10 points, so you can take a look at that. Then Prasanna, you're asking, can you throw some split in the industry vertical participation? Could you throw some split in industry vertical specification, for example, hospitality, IT, manufacturing, security? So I don't know in what regard you're asking. Is there something that you can say about Amit in this regard? I'm assuming you mentioned it initially about,
I don't have data offhand. But my sense also is that we probably don't have that level of differentiation in our data at this point in time. So if you would ask, kind of hospitality India, what is your user base and what is your, the content base, probably we don't have the answer. What I can say straight away is that 70% of SlideShare content is professional in nature. And within the professional segment, 3 or 4 verticals are the most represented. So it is technology, it is business, it is finance. These are probably, they comprise about the majority of the 70%. Specific verticals like, automotive or insurance or hospitality, they are probably, I'll need to look at the data and get back, but I don't have the answers anyway.
Got that. Okay, so Puneet is asking a question, does Mahesh Murthy or Alok Kejriwal have pro accounts? Is there a way we can check it out? I think you write a pro just below that, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. No, I don't think Mahesh Murthy or Alok have pro accounts. They have pay accounts. Right. And in a way, I mean, let me, it is also to reassure people that, at the end of the day, the content is the king, right? Whether it is from pro or whether it is from a free user, if the content is good, and that explains, Mahesh Murthy's deck, why it got more than 1 lakh views in a few days, is that the content is king. And SlideShare didn't push that content. We did feature it on our homepage, and that was an editorial discretion because we felt that the content was interesting enough. And it is possible the content got a little bit of an advantage for a few hours because of that. But beyond that, the content stands on its own.
Great. So there are a couple of more questions. I'll just take it up, and simultaneously, guys, I'm putting up a poll in front of you. So if you're interested in the pro account of SlideShare, let us know. Or if you're interested in our trainings, just let us know. So the question is, I think Abhilash is asking one interesting question. Is there a auto adjust feature in case of presentation being viewed on mobile? I mean, is your design responsive right now, or like what are your plans with regards to mobile? It will be good to know some thoughts on that also.
Yeah. So we don't have mobile apps right now. It is planned sometime soon. But we have a mobile HTML5 site. So you can, but it is mostly targeted at smartphones. So the two platforms that our mobile HTML site targets are iOS and Android. So essentially, if you're using a smartphone, then you should be able to view and see all of the SlideShare content. And sometime later this year, we plan to roll out a SlideShare app. And then some of the advanced features like our newsfeed or some of our recommendation pushes, we'll start doing them on the mobile as well. But right now, at this point in time, is if you want to view content and if you want to share content, you can do that on a mobile, on a smartphone.
Okay. I think that is it. We have taken up all the questions so far. So, guys, if you have any further questions, so we would be doing a blog post on the same, and we'll be putting up the video recording of the whole session as well. And Amit, I hope you had a good experience, your first webinar. And
yeah.
So we got a good participation. I think in total the max I've seen today is 46 number of attendees. So thanks everyone for your participation. Anything, Amit, you want to add before we close the session?
No, I think it's been a great experience for me. I had fun preparing the slides. We are SlideShare, we are about presentation. So in general, we try to invest good effort in creating our slides. So I have been doing that since the morning, and also presenting this live in front of an audience. We are excited about the Indian market. This is an area where we have not invested a whole lot. So I'm happy that Digital Vidya gave us an opportunity to hold this webinar at this point in time for an Indian audience. And thanks a lot. And Kapil, you should feel free to add my email ID on the blog post. And if there are any specific detailed questions, people can write in, and I'm happy to take that.
Got that. And I'll send you a link to the blog post as well. So you guys can just put up your comment there, and me and Amit, we will reply back in the comments also. And I'll write down the Amit email ID as well, so that you can contact him directly. So anytime, like anyone of you feel like you want to have any support, do let us know. So yeah, that's it from my side. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for your participation. Thanks Amit. Thanks a lot. It's been a great session for me.
Thanks a lot.